Scott Burnside, ESPN.com here on the latest edition of Hockey Today, the podcast. We catch up with breaking news in Montreal with a coaching change there, and hear from Pat Maroon of the Edmonton Oilers and Jason Chimera of the New York Islanders.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Adrienne Lawrence with some shakeups in the NFL offseason. The Dolphins are dropping left tackle Brandon Albert. That report is by the NFL Network. The 32-year-old two-time Pro Bowler struggled to play a full season in his 3 years in Miami due to injury. Releasing Albert frees up $10.6 million in cap space for Miami, though. And the team may move 2016 first-rounder Laramie Tunsil to fill Albert's spot next season. And in Minnesota, Adrian Peterson's inciting some controversy about where he could be next season. The Vikings star running back tweeted last night, the Giants been making some interesting moves. New York recently cut their top rusher, Rashad Jennings. Now, AD's not a free agent, but the Vikings may not want to pay him the $17.75 million he's owed next season on his deal, and that could just push Peterson onto the market. And on the court, Sacramento guard Malachi Richardson is undergoing an MRI today. The Kings rookie pulled his right hammy in the last minutes of last night's loss to the Warriors. And five-star point guard Trae Young, he says he's going to Oklahoma, reports ESPN's Jake Schroeder. Young is a number 15 overall recruit in the nation.
This just in, Wendy's is adding the Quarter Pounder Double Stack as an option for the 4 for $4. With over a quarter pound of beef, 4 nuggets, fries, and a drink, that's a deal so good it should not exist. Yet it does, at participating locations for a limited time.
Now, Russillo and Cannell on ESPN Radio.
And ESPNRadio.com.
We have a dilemma with Danny as a consumer, so we'll have to address that a little bit later this hour. We went back and double-checked. Are we doing our celebrity guest today? All right, so Matt Eisman, who won the Celebrity Apprentice, who has been a big fan and supporter of this show and ESPN Radio in general. He's got an incredible backstory. Doctor, baseball player, Princeton, and now comedian, and now the winner of the Celebrity Apprentice. So he's going to join us. Also Ninja Warrior, all that stuff. We got PJ Carlissimo. It was kind of fun last night with the switch-up. How about that Walton Vitale experience, huh? I thought Pash might retire at halftime.
No, sometimes I feel kind of bad for Pash. A lot of times I feel bad for Pash because he's like just kind of sit back and just let him go, but then he's got to try to rein things back a little bit. And good luck with that crew.
For those that may not know what we're talking about, last night the Cavs game with the Pacers, it was part of the crossover thing that we do. And I think it's fun. I mean, it gets people talking. There's reaction. Yeah. I mean, that's really the goal of all of this stuff. And I was talking to one of my managers on the walk in, and he goes, think about the social media impact of Walton Vitale doing a game. It doesn't even matter. Like, but right. I'm sitting there going, okay. And when Walton is so out there that Vitale sounds like Vitale's being interrupted, and to hear someone's being rude to Dick Vitale because they're talking over him too much, and Vitale sounds like the reasonable one.
Yeah.
And like Vitale's trying to tighten it up and be more professional. Like that's, and it's not a knock. Like, Dick is emotion. It's emphatic, this or that and all. Like he's an entertainer as he does the games. And he almost sounded like the straight guy to Bill Walton's routine.
Yes. I'm with you. The crossover, huge success. So much so, we're close to an announcement. Like we're close because I was texting furiously some of our higher-ups because there's a crossover in the works.
For you?
So I threw out the idea just to let it. It's been received pretty well. So Adnan, Verk, Joey Galloway, and myself, we're together all day Saturdays in studio. We're going to swap out with McDonough and Gruden on Monday Night Football, and they can do the studio halftime on Saturday for college football. The football crossover. I think it's a slam dunk home run. What do you think?
I wish I could make money on that not happening.
It got some good feedback on the text.
Who?
I think some of them were mostly sarcastic, though.
That's my guy. I think I was hoping you were looking for me. I still want to do the Stugotz for you trade. But I
told you, Le Batard won't let it happen.
Okay, so
I even texted him yesterday.
Why not me for Stugotz then? Because I was trying to be nice because that's your home area, the home state, not that far from Fort Lauderdale.
Because
Why don't we
Dan
do
will
that?
never come here.
Okay, so send me down for Stu.
Don, that's not fair. I don't want that.
So
deal to
you
go
wouldn't.
down.
I was willing to just take a knee on that whole thing. Like I knew I would. Like it'd be nice for you to take the family home for a week.
Yeah.
Do that whole thing. I'll do the show with Stu.
Right.
I don't have to leave. But you know what? That's never going to happen because of you and Levitard.
Right.
Levitard and I get along. So why can't you just do that for me? Why can't you let me go down there for a week and have you and Stu can nerd it out up here?
What if do you think there's any, I don't even know why it got so bad with me and Levitard. Do you think there's a better chance of reconciliation between Dolan and Oakley or me and Levitard?
The thing is more people care about one than the other.
Yes.
I'll give Marcus Spears all the credit in the world on this one. And actually, it wasn't Marcus Spears. It's Mark Spears. And one of our basketball guys, over the undefeated, I was messing him up with our LSU dude. But he goes, the Dolan act to then, after the Oakley thing, to sit next to Latrell and Larry Johnson, like that Seinfeld episode where Costanza's like, hey, I do have black friends.
Yes.
Like he starts bringing the custodian around.
Yes.
Like that was
Awful.
such a great call by Spears on that one. Russillo and Cannell, it's ESPN Radio. It's presented by Progressive Insurance. Customers who switch to Progressive save an average of $500. Call or click today to find out if we could save you hundreds on your car insurance. You have a problem with mock drafts, not specific to Mel, not specific to McShay, but just in general.
Well, I'm becoming a skeptic.
Used to love them, too.
And I love those dudes. I still do. Like, I love watching.
Would you ever say
they're-
you hated a dude on the air?
Yeah, totally.
Who?
I don't know. I have to hate one first. So it goes.
That was well done by you.
So I love these dudes, love what they do. I'll always tune in to watch what they're saying. I'll tune in and get every mock draft that comes out. But I'm worrying if the showmanship is taking over the substance.
Okay, what's that mean?
So our boy McShay.
Yeah.
Was one of our favorite hours of the week we had Wednesday.
Shay's about
right?
to get it right
I
now.
thought it was going to be Kuiper, and then I started digging in, and I was like, uh-oh, wait a second. I've noticed more discrepancy in Kuiper and McShay's than Kuiper's. So in his mock 1.0.
And what's the date on 1.0? Because I just
December
want to
13th.
I just want to make sure everybody understands that when
Todd
McShay puts that
McShay's-
one out in
Sure.
right after the draft, a year ahead of time.
Right. This is different,
Yeah.
though. This is 1.0. So this is like the release December 13th. So it's after college football season is done. He had Deshaun Watson not getting drafted in the first round. Was not in the mock 1.0. He had Mitch Trubisky going late in the first round in his 1.0. Then, a month later, February 8th, out comes a new mock draft, and the drama builds. And there's a big segment on SportsCenter, huge tease, because there's a huge mover. Deshaun Watson, out of nowhere, goes to number 2 with the 49ers.
So what are you saying?
I don't know. I don't even know what
You're
I'm
saying
saying, but I'm
something.
looking at it. But did the championship game change that much? Like, was it that game? Was there intel? Was there more film study? Which all could be the case, all of it. Like, and it probably is the case. But I think a lot of fans look at it and they think it's trash. I think a lot of NFL executives, GMs, scouts look at it and they think it's trash. I don't think they're trash at all because I know the work these dudes put in. Like, I know McShay studies more film than probably any of
Part
the
of it is
here.
him studying and where he is in the timeline.
Which-
He'll tell you by the end of March he's more prepared for it than he would be before.
Right.
But I think if you're looking at the
Do you
mock
ever
drafts,
think that there's a mock that comes out, like the 3.0, let's say it comes
Yeah.
out and it's looking kind of similar, and one of them are like, man, we need to do something to shake it up a little bit.
Yes.
You do.
yeah, I think
And I'm okay with that. Like, I get it. Like,
right.
I'm
But the
okay-
problem is the tease is what we have a massive shakeup here.
Right.
I'm more of the NBA draft guy, right? Everybody
Sure.
knows that. I've covered it now for years. I've done it here for radio for the last 4 or so. But when I talk to general managers, and there's one in particular, and he's a really good GM, and he is convinced. He says it to me every year. He goes, if there were no mock drafts, and they're always going to be, it's fun. Okay, it's fun.
Yeah,
I think
great.
it's one of those things where can't we just have fun with it, but understand it doesn't really mean anything,
Right.
All right? Like,
well,
it's, like why
trust
don't
me, players that are coming out get worried about him. Like, they hate him.
Okay. GMs hate him because they believe, other than the top guys, at least in the NBA, but other than the top handful of names that are just talent-wise the guys that deserve to be there, they feel like the draft will play out entirely differently. But the problem is that all the fans, everyone in the media, including not in the media, but you factor in ownership is sitting around and printing out Chad Ford's latest thing, they're going, it starts to influence you. So if you were the GM and you want to take a guy at 15 that's only going 25 or later in the mocks, like some GMs don't care, but I think other GMs are like, if it's close between my guy that I want and the guy that's been projected to go a lot higher, I'll just go with the guy that was a lot higher, so that way if I'm wrong, at least I'm wrong with everybody else, as opposed to where if I'm wrong, where you go, oh, I can't believe you took that guy anyway. He was a borderline first-rounder. I believe that happens.
I think in football, I don't think you could find a scout, GM, anyone on the record or off the record that would say, I pay attention to those. I think their ego is too big. Like, they would refuse to admit that they gave credence to him.
Yeah, this GM's basically telling me it does.
I know, which I can't believe that happens. I think it'd be really hard-pressed to find one in the NFL.
So you need that now, before now in the NFL draft, you need to keep track of all of this stuff.
All right. And apologize to McShay.
No, you don't need to apologize.
All right.
If you think McShay's terrible at his job, you have the forum all 3 hours to do that. So there you go.
Definitely not what I said. Love McShay.
Is it? Get in touch with us. 1-800-Flowers.com. Twitter feed is at Russillo Canal. PJ Carlissimo did some college last night, but how he sees things shaking out towards the All-Star break. We'll talk with PJ some NBA stuff here on ESPN Radio. Discover the best new way for you to buy travel. It's called Upside.com.
Upside bundles your flight and hotel together for one low price. If you're a frequent business traveler, your company saves lots of money, and you can get thousands in gift cards just for buying your air and hotel together at Upside.com.
Use the code SPORTS, and you're guaranteed to get at least a $200 Amazon gift card your first trip. The code is SPORTS. It gets you at least a $200 gift card for free. How can you not do it? Save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip. You'll love Upside.com. Upside.com.
Russillo and Canal is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests of the show appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Hold it now. Oh! Come on.
A football recruiting story that Canal wants to talk about here on Russillo and Canal. It's ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests in the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And part of the NBA college basketball crossover that we had going on across all platforms last night. Joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, it's PJ Carlissimo, normally with the NBA duties. But what did you have, K-State, Iowa State last night?
K-State, Iowa State at Bramlage. It was interesting getting to Manhattan, Kansas. But it was fun.
Yeah, I mean,
Danny, we're going to do football recruiting. I'm ready to do football recruiting with Danny. I'm all revved up.
All right, let's do it. We'll nail you down.
You know,
if I can come up with one name, I should get a prize.
That's done. All right, if you can figure out a name in the next 8 minutes, we'll give you some of these fruit slices that are really good.
UW lost a great recruit. I should know the UW recruits. They had a really good lineman who had committed to them early, and then he decommitted and went somewhere else. But I should know his name, and I don't. But
we're not going to hold it against you.
Budemaker, I would have known years ago. I would have had a couple of years ago, but I've been on the road too much lately.
PJ, when I was listening to Dockich do the Thunder-Knicks game, it was just a part of him where he goes, my gosh, I forget how well these guys move, how big everybody is, how hard everybody plays. And then you go doing a college game. Did it? I mean, look, you're a legendary coach from Seton Hall here, but was there kind of a resetting, a reminding of what that gap is like watching a college game up close again like that?
Well, there is, but I get loaned out for 3 weeks every year to do the NCAA.
Right.
So I do get a college fix. I do a week of the tournament, and then I do the 2 weeks of the NCAA, so I see it. But the big thing that jumps out at you every time is just the size. I mean, we get spoiled by when you do NBA all the time, you're just used to guys being that big and strong and quick, and you just take it for granted. And you don't understand. You forget. I shouldn't say you don't understand. You forget how much bigger and stronger. I mean, you see it with rookies sometimes. Guys coming into the league, you just look at them and you go, it's going to take this guy a couple of years physically to catch up. But when you go see a game and everybody is like that, like the kid, I was really anxious to see Deontay Burton. I wanted to see Monte Morris, the main guy, but Deontay Burton from Iowa State was really impressive, and he's like a Charles Barkley. Remember the kid Ron Baxter, who played years ago for Texas?
Yeah.
Like with Jim Krivaks. He was like that, and I was just expecting this guy to come in and be like 6'6" or 6'7", and weigh 240 or 250. And I saw, like, when they came on the floor, I said to Steve Prohm, I said, "Which one's Burton?" And he pointed over. I said, "You kidding me?" I couldn't believe it. They're just smaller. It's as simple as that. And the athleticism, I mean, except for an occasional guy, is just not there. I mean, I'm sure, Danny, it's the same with the NFL. I don't know. Maybe the college guys are close. They stay in school a little bit longer. But and Iowa State, interestingly enough, is a team with, like, for most of the year they started 5 seniors. They put a freshman in the lineup 2 games ago. He was playing really well. He was the best player in the game last night. But yeah, that's the thing that jumps out at me. And the speed of the game is just different. I mean, even teams that push it, I mean, you just don't, I mean, the extreme in our league is like a Russell Westbrook or John Wall. The ball goes foul line to foul line like in a blink, and you can't believe it. It's just played at a slightly different speed. I mean, it's not the difference in the records we used to do, or whatever those RPMs were. It's not that dramatic, but it jumps out at you for sure.
PJ, there's a conversation going on around the NBA, and it's starting to frustrate me, and we've been doing it more and more, and it's a conversation around minutes, managing players' minutes. And I guess I find myself in an old-school mentality. If you're healthy enough to play, you go out there and play. Where do you stand as a guy who's been a lifer in the NBA when it comes to guys like LeBron? Like, what do you think of that entire conversation when people are looking so closely at the minutes played per game?
Well, I think I come in with Jeff from the one standpoint. I think that would be an old-school standpoint. I agree. When you're making the money that the elite players are making, and let's be honest, those are the guys people come to see. And my first biggest impression of the league, after I was in the league about 5 or 6 years, people ask me, like, biggest difference. And I said, I'll tell you the biggest difference. To me, the guys who make the big money, they earn every single penny they make because that's the guys people come to see. Night in, night out. They don't care if they played last night in Dallas and they're in Florida today and they have a day off and then they're playing in Chicago the next night. They just pay the money and they want to see that guy, Michael Jordan or LeBron, whoever it is, and that's the guy they want to see. So that is really important to me. I mean, that's the backbone of the league. Having said that, I spent 5 years in San Antonio with Pop, and I think, as usual, Spurs are a little bit ahead of the curve with a lot of things. They figured it out earlier. Pop knew if, as good as they were, there was a good chance they'd be playing in May and June, and he had to manage guys' minutes from 2 standpoints. 1, to have a fresh team for a deep playoff run, and 2, to lengthen those players I'm talking about, to lengthen their careers. Tim Duncan would not have played as productively and as long if Pop didn't manage his minutes the way he did. And even today, watch a Tony Parker or Manu Ginobili still being productive. Manu's going to be 40, I think, this summer. So to me, it's really an interesting debate. I think you want to play them. Somebody made the point the other day on our network, and I forget who it was, and I had never heard it before. And they said, when you're going to rest guys, you should rest them at home. You shouldn't rest them on the road because they're your fans, and they do get X amount of other times to see them. Whereas you go somewhere, particularly a Western team going in the East, and you rest your best player, and people say, well, that's the only chance I had to see this guy the whole year. So I kind of like that mentality. I think it'd be interesting to encourage, and the coaches aren't going to listen anyhow, but to encourage them, hey, if you're going to rest one of the primetime guys, do it at a home game. Don't do it at a road game. So I'm not answering your question. I'm walking the middle of the line. If I'm Pop and I got a playoff team, I am definitely going to manage minutes. 2 years ago, Rye, they had that team, I think, that won it, had no one that averaged 30 minutes the entire year. Every single guy on the roster was below 30 minutes a game. But there's a difference between minimizing or, only playing 30 minutes and flat-out resting a guy. LeBron, to me, plays too many minutes, and I'm not criticizing Lou. LeBron wants to play big minutes. When we had them Christmas Day in a pregame interview, Kesty asked Lou about, are you concerned with LeBron at all, the minutes he's played? And he goes, yeah, I am, but LeBron and his workout guy, and I should know his name and I don't, but it's like his personal guy, came to them and said at the beginning of the year, look, we're going to play big minutes until we get to January or February, and then we're going to taper it down a little bit, and then we'll build it back up at the end of the year. And they had a conscious game plan. But, like, you know, every time I've had Cleveland, and it seems when they're in a big game, it's close, man, they just stretch his minutes out again. And, I mean, he's playing enormous minutes. Now, I know he's a freak of nature in a great sense. But, I mean, I think he's playing, you know, big minutes. And I think it's going to be a challenge as this year goes on.
Hey, PJ, I'm sure you're looking forward to get back to the NBA stuff, even though last night was a lot of fun. So thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Ryan. Good being with you. Danny, I'll brush up on the football recruiting.
All right, you got it, PJ. Thanks as always.
PJ Carlesimo right here on Russillo and Cannell. Reminding you, if you're at work, you can stream all 3 hours of the show on ESPNradio.com. Is this against the rules in recruiting? It isn't, but some people think it should be. That's next on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Adrienne Lawrence with some breaking news. NC State coach Mark Gottfried, well, his time in Raleigh is done. That's according to ESPN's Jeff Goodman. The Wolfpack is firing their coach, Mark Gottfried. The Wolfpack also lost 97-73 at home to the 10th-ranked Tar Heels earlier this week. And last Saturday, they suffered a 30-point loss at bubble team Wake Forest. And into pro football, it's Tom Brady mania, the tale of the 5-time Super Bowl winning QB. It's going to be portrayed in a book and movie in the near future. That's according to Deadline. The project will be led by writers of the Oscar-nominated film The Fighter, but Brady's not involved in any way. And sticking with quarterbacks, after 5 years away from the game, Vince Young, he's eyeing a comeback. Young just hired agent Lee Steinberg in an effort to resurrect his NFL career. And in Miami, the Dolphins have released left tackle and 2-time Pro Bowler Brandon Albert. That's according to the NFL Network. And tonight on ESPN2, the SEC delivers on the court with Texas A&M going against Nashville and taking on Vanderbilt. And then they head to AAC territory.
Time to upgrade your wardrobe with CT Shirts, the most exquisitely crafted, British-styled, crease-free shirts I've ever worn. One CT shirt normally costs $100. I got you 3 shirts for just $99. Go to ctshirts.com/ESPN. ctshirts.com/ESPN.
Retro Rewind. Now we rewind. Bubba's 90s Jam of the Day.
All right. Catchy song. People liked it for a while. Good bar song towards the end. Late
Pretty
90s?
popular.
Late
Yeah,
90s?
98, yeah. Only made one album.
What were they called?
New Radicals.
Yeah, old Radicals.
I hear you.
Now they are. What's up? You want me to get into this hardball?
I do. It's Russillo Cannell at ESPN Radio.
All right, so I was listening to Levitard yesterday, and I heard him get into this discussion.
I don't hear him say he was listening to you a lot.
I don't either.
I don't appreciate
I
the
think
lack
because
of
he's already
support.
on the beach. I think by the time we're on the air.
If you lived in Miami, you wouldn't immediately tune it into us?
No, I think I'd be on my bike and flip-flops, same thing he does. No, so he was bringing up this topic, and I was getting irritated because I know the direction he was going with paying the players.
Which direction? Was that what it was?
No, totally, yeah. He's like, oh, here we go. The players are exploited, all that.
Liberal media.
Totally the direction he's going. But I was like, all right, let me look into this, because it did kind of bother me when you see that Jim Harbaugh, which is a very common practice in college football. It's not only Michigan,
All right,
it's not
what
only
do you
Jim
do?
Harbaugh. So he hired the dad of a recruit who's coming to commit to play quarterback in 2019. His name is Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson Jr. is going to be the quarterback class of 2019. To be fair, Michael Johnson, he's a former NFL coach. He was Harbaugh's quarterback coach with the San Diego Chargers in 2000. So they have a relationship that goes way back, okay? So that was my initial thing, as I was going to go at Le Batard, go hard, and be like, hey, well, this guy's totally justified, right? Then I did a little bit digging, and there's a couple other ones. There's a lot of other coaches. So Devin Bush, a guy I played with, was on the national championship team at Florida State with me in 1993. He's a coach, defensive analyst on Michigan's squad. His son, Devin Bush Jr., plays on the team as well. So still pretty good with it, right? Then I noticed that he actually hired a mom of a recruit that he was trying to get actually to graduate transfer from Stanford. So he hired, her name is Gwen Bush, and she's the mother of Wayne Lyons, who Harbaugh was the head coach at Stanford, had a relationship with him, wanted her to come over to be this team mom. So he hired a
team mom.
Yeah, and she said, like, and I could totally see this being the case because I saw so many of these moms that were awesome and meant so much to the program, where they cook meals for you guys.
Different than teen mom.
Yes, totally different. But it does have me thinking that we're at an epidemic. Like, it is happening too much, where the coaching staffs are too big, and it looks shady. To me, it's a bad look for all of these schools to do it. And I totally understand the other side of it. Like, if I'm Devin Bush and I get a chance to go coach my son in college at Michigan, like, who wouldn't want to do that? Like, it'd be awesome.
But this is a really strong argument for the Le Batards, for Jay Billis, to go, wait a minute, so you can pay my mom?
Right.
But there's not enough money for me?
Well, that was kind of the weird thing about the Cam Newton thing, because it kind of got around it, because it was like, oh, the dad was taking the money and I didn't know. Like, isn't that just a total way to circumvent everything, where the player
Well, that was a little different, because it was pretty clear that the father was just...
Right.
I mean, depending on what you believe in that story, but if you believe all the bad parts, it's that the father was shopping the kid around, and then the kid, Cam, became insulated in that one. That was, like, really specific. It was the NCAA found that the father was in the wrong, but Cam had no idea, and that's how that worked. Remember, his father wasn't supposed to be at the national championship game either.
Right.
Peace.
Right.
This is my son's last game.
Right. I'm going to go watch him play.
Right. And it's for the national championship.
So my thing isn't, hey, let's pay the players. My thing is fix the problem that we have, which is important.
So you don't like it?
I don't like it.
Like, it's just a bad look?
I think it's a bad look, and I think the coaching staffs are outrageous right now at every college program. Like, there's no need for that many coaches. And the point of the other side is, there's all this money to go around, just throw it at everybody except the players.
Yeah, it's actually a bad look for the recruiting gray area, which it's already gray anyway, but yeah, like, this is a good argument for that side. This has been going on, some version of this, though. There's a lot of basketball teams. I remember DeJuan Wagner's father got picked up, and then you'll hear about the mysterious, wait a minute, that guy's working for which company now?
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen? What's his resume say? And it's the recruit's father gets a gig with somebody, and, maybe that's, maybe it's not a terrible thing. Right,
because the other side, maybe they're creating jobs.
Creating jobs, unemployment's down.
Right? I mean, I'm trying to, because I try to keep an open mind, right? Like, I don't want to be so close-minded. It's shady. That's my thing. I think the NCAA needs to clean it up.
But this has been going on not just in the basketball and the football thing, but then there's agencies where the agency will hire the brother of a kid that's a recruit. So all of a sudden, an older brother is working for a sports agency while the high-profile kid is in college, so figure that one out. The sneaker companies will do this. Like, I'm okay with everybody kind of breaking the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
like, trust me, when I hear some of the recruiting stuff, I'm kind of the same way.
I heard a story the other day about an NBA team trying to hire somebody's brother in a front office.
To get him to come and wait, why would
No. They were hoping... Like, they were hoping if we hire this relative of the player, then that means the player will want to come down here later on.
Like in free agency or whenever he gets an opportunity to sign.
I couldn't imagine liking any of my siblings enough. Shout out to my sisters and my brothers. But if the Pelicans don't have any support for me down there, and I'm a star NBA player, and my sister's in the accounting department, although I don't think that's a good fit for her, I would tell you that... Hey, enjoy Gold Mine at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
in Razoo's Stanford Steve spot, but I'm not signing with that team just because you have a nice desk job.
I don't like the look. I think it needs to be fixed.
All right. Matt Eisman, who? He's the Celebrity Apprentice winner. He was a doctor, a baseball player, went to Stanford and Columbia for his doctorate, and now he just beat out Boy George in a celebrity reality show. That's next on ESPN Radio.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
Russillo and Canal is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests of the show appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
He is the winner of Celebrity Apprentice. He's a guy that's been a friend to us as just a social media dude. And we're fired up because when Matt Eisman hit me up with, I can't believe I'm going to be on The Apprentice, I was like, no way, which celebrities are going to be on it, which was the layup joke of layup jokes. I then felt so bad about it because I was like, what are you going to do, write on it or something? And here he is. He wins, and he joins us now. What's up, man?
Hey, I got to say, technically speaking, between McConaughey, Dumel, and me, you guys have like two and a quarter celebrities listening to you now.
That's a good call.
That is a pretty good call.
It was a thrill for me to get to go out there and now come back and take the celebratory lap with you guys.
It was awesome to see because I saw some of the finale, and you were talking about how you were the dark horse and no one gave you a chance to win, and you even kind of made light of the fact.
Was that out of the Belichick book right there?
Yeah.
Nobody believed in me. This is poster board material. As I was listening to it, I was like, God, do I sound a little melodramatic? I mean, it is what I believed. I definitely was the least famous person going into this, and so I know where I am on the celebrity hierarchy. So it was fun just kind of, taking it one game at a time, grinding it out, just finally being there in the finals.
Did it ever get awkward at any point? Like when somebody, one of those celebrities would be like, who are you? What do you do?
So at the beginning, Snooki heard there was a doctor on the show. I used to be an MD, and she heard there was a doctor, and she's walking around and she goes, is it Vince Neil? She said it's Vince Neil because he's the one they call Dr. Feelgood. And I'm like, this is the level of stars I'm going up against here. There was a moment where I'm having to be the project manager. Boy George is throwing a tantrum, and then Vince Neil storms out, and then he and John Lovitz are in a shouting match, and I'm in the middle of all of this. Just going, and part of me was just like, this is awesome. This is really a great story I'm going to have to tell. So emotionally, I tried not to get too invested in it. It's just like when Boogie Cousins throws a tantrum, you're like, yeah, okay, just get your 30 points, Vince Neil. Just raise money, sing a song, and just don't get me fired.
Matt Eisman, who joins us, and his team, Matt, raised over $500,000 for the Arthritis Foundation, which, we're not trying to make this serious or now, but that's a huge number. But would you sit there and say, I'm the least famous, which our audience probably agrees with right now, is there a chance Vince Neil didn't go level 10 Vince Neil on this? Is there a chance that some of these dudes are like, look, at the end of the day, I'm still the lead singer of Motley Crue, and you hosted Sports Soup?
No, there's no chance. Vince Neil gave me his best, and I still beat him.
Yes.
And that's what I'm going to the grave with. Yeah, of course. Of course, at a certain point, Vince Neil, he's showing me a $250,000 watch around his wrist that's a different one every day. So how invested is he in this? Maybe not as much as me. I don't know that anyone had as much to gain from it. Not only from, look, this can boost my career, maybe I get a spot on Russillo and Canal, but also for my charity. I have rheumatoid arthritis, so the Arthritis Foundation is near and dear to me. And because I won all in on the season, it actually ended up being $978,000. So almost $1 million for charity than I ever thought I could do. So, it was great. I get to fanboy out with Schwarzenegger. I got to meet Tyra Banks, and hopefully we got to do some good.
So Russillo's still jealous about the Vince Neil watch comment because he's a huge watch guy. He's mad he can't sport one of those every day. So we were just looking at this because we know who you are, what you've done recently, some of the stuff you've done with comedy and on TV, but you're a doctor. You played baseball. How did you get to this point?
I was like a less athletic, more intellectual Danny Cannell. I played football, basketball, and baseball in high school. And it was actually, I got into Stanford, but they're like, yeah, you're really going to help our GPA. So I go to Princeton, and then ended up going to Columbia, got my MD. And
Wait a minute. Time out. You get into Stanford to play football or baseball? Because you played
Baseball.
You played baseball at Princeton, right?
Yeah. And, I was there. They'd just gone back-to-back national champions. So Messina, I think, he was just graduating or was a junior on the team. And, again, I knew if I'm going there, I'm maybe seeing some mop-up duty my senior year. So I ended up going to Princeton where I got to play. And we made it, we got to the NCAA tournament one year. But the baseball was not the featured element of Princeton. So ended up at med school in New York and then got my MD, realized my heart wasn't in it, and decided to take a year off, try something different. I moved out to L.A., started doing stand-up comedy, and never went back.
That's incredible. That's an incredible story. Like, it's unbelievable.
You're good at a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, I like the subtle diss, too. Less athletic, more intellectual.
On paper, Russillo, I'm awesome. But as my girlfriend points out in person, not so much. But it was fun. For me, Apprentice was great because, again, I've done comedy and hosting stuff, but it was nice to also be able to talk about my disease and the Arthritis Foundation and raise a lot of money. And it was cool. Like, we got to go to the Clippers and meet Steve Ballmer. And had to, hype up the crowd. And that is death. In the first quarter of a Tuesday night NBA game, the crowd doesn't want to hear from you. But, Ballmer's there. We're running around on the court giving away T-shirts with Ricky Williams and Layla Ali. And it was just some really cool once-in-a-lifetime moments that we got to experience.
What was the oddest friendship you developed through the show?
Boy George, actually. We ended up being opponents in the finale. And, I remember in junior high school seeing Boy George. This is the first man I'd ever seen wearing makeup when it wasn't common. And just thinking, my God, this person is, from a different planet. And then, within a couple of days, you're just sitting down and he's just an ordinary dude from London. And he was a great guy, a creative guy. And for all he's been through, for as iconic he is, he's a really nice guy. We really got along well. Hasn't returned my calls since the show ended, but I still think we're friends.
All right, give us the best story then, Matt. We're talking to Matt Eisman, the winner of Celebrity Apprentice. What's the moment where you're like, this is weird? Give me your best story from the whole season.
So you'll appreciate this, right? Because I know you're a huge Harry Potter fan. But we did a task around the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and I ended up winning it. And so I'm getting interviewed after the task in the war room where Schwarzenegger was. And I'm walking on there, and I'm giving the typical kind of Belichick post-game presser where, you know what? I was just lucky. I felt great that this was a task, and it was really lucky. And then I hear this booming voice go, "That's bull crap. You won because you're talented." And Schwarzenegger throws me a stogie. He goes, "Now smoke this, because tomorrow I'm going to fire your ass." And he walked out, and I was like, tell me you got that on camera. It was my dream to have Schwarzenegger yelling at me like I was one of his soldiers going into a movie. And then Tyra Banks called me a fine-ass man. So
that's
at this point, my life is complete.
Has Trump tweeted at you yet?
Well, so in the finale, when they showed me winning, as I'm celebrating, it comes up executive producer Donald J. Trump right under my face. So I'm thinking he watched the episode. And the day after, I got a call from a 202, a D.C. area code. And for a second, I'm like, no. And it turns out it was my brother calling. But I thought for a second Trump was going to call. So, no, not yet.
You're very close to your brother, huh? You don't even have his number in your phone?
Honestly, after this, I've got a few more days of quote-unquote celebrity, and then I'm back to the host of a reality show. So I'm enjoying this.
Awesome, man.
Hey, seriously, though, you have been really cool to us. You've always shot us notes on Twitter, and I just want to let you know that Sports Soup has not tweeted since 2010, May. So if you want to go back.
It lives on in our hearts, man.
That's true. There's some good zingers here from 7 years ago.
Well, I will say I've listened to your show since before you even had your name on it, Russillo, back when it was you and the Bald Man. And you guys continue to get better. And, Rosenberg would have been great, but I'm glad you went with Cannell. I think
man.
I think you guys are fantastic. I listen every day. So
awesome.
It's a thrill to get to call in.
Thanks, buddy. Congrats.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Matt Eisman here on the show, The Celebrity Apprentice. That show, that's a weird show. I never really got that into it to begin with. I'm trying to think what reality show I most would want to be on. I guess that one's good for exposure. I also did go back. Vernon Wells jokes, Tiger jokes, Duke jokes, Josh Beckett jokes. Sports Soup, man, was ahead of its time. Next hour, Peter Rosenberg is going to join us for about a half hour. A bunch of stuff we can get to with him, including Draymond and the fact that Rosenberg's playing the Celebrity All-Star game tomorrow night. But the Houston Texans are the favorite now for Romo.
Hey, baseball fans, this is Buster Olney. Mark your calendars because the daily edition of the Baseball Tonight podcast returns on Tuesday, February 21st. Make sure you subscribe to the show now in the Listen tab of the ESPN app.
On the latest episode of The Bill Barnwell Show, I talked to ESPN The Magazine's Mina Kimes about the latest episode of The Bachelor. Hot stuff. You can check out the show on iTunes or by going to the ESPN app on your phone.
The NBA All-Star Game this Sunday.
Here's Curry behind the back. Half-court heave on its way. And he hits it!
Coverage begins Sunday at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.